This week I'm putting my old faithful EcoFlow Delta 2 Max head to head with a brand new DJI Power 2000. I'm genuinely excited to see how these two brands compare. I don't think DJI needs any introduction, but for those of you that don't know, DJI are the world's leading drone manufacturer. I've even got a DJI drone myself, as you've probably seen from some of the previous videos. I don't think anyone would argue against DJI making the best drones on the market. Now, a big part of a drone is the battery, so I'm intrigued to see how they've incorporated their tech into their power stations. But basically, they reached out and asked if I'd do a comparison video between their Power 2000 and, like I said, the Delta 2 Max I've been using for ages. Now, it's quite an interesting comparison, really, because for those of you that don't know, EcoFlow was founded by, this in short, but EcoFlow was founded by a guy that used to work at DJI in their battery compartment. So going head to head, there's a little bit of healthy competition here. I'll start off with capacity because it's a very easy one. They're both 2048 watt hours. From what I can tell, that comes from a 51.2 volt battery at 40 amp hours. Something a bit easier to digest for me, at least, is converting that to what it would be equivalent in 12 volt. So divide the 51.2 by 4, gives you 12.8 volts, and then you times the amps by 4, would give you 160 amp hours. So it's equivalent of a 12 volt battery at 160 amp hours. So quite a size. For comparison, the leisure battery I've got on my van, again, these are both Life PO4, is 100 amp hours. So these have got 60 amp hours more, just in a different format. Hopefully that makes sense. Correct me if I'm wrong as well. So you're probably wondering how long will that last in the real world. I'll do some tests in a minute, but just some figures I found interesting. Something like 114 mobile phone charges, nearly 2 hours of coffee machine usage, or 38 hours of a travel fridge. AC outputs, there is a little bit of difference between them. Potentially just how it's written and how they're sold, but the EcoFlow, 2400 watt continuous AC output, but they state that that can be increased with XFlow tech to 3100 watts. So I'm intrigued to see how long you can run this at 3100 watts with XFlow, see how long it lasts, because the DJI has a continuous 3000 watt output, which is huge for continuous. So I think the biggest AC output anyone's going to use is a good old-fashioned electric kettle. This one, which I use for work occasionally, states 2520 to 3000 watts. It's a bit of a beast. Start off with the EcoFlow. This is rated to 2400 watts, by the way. It is only sat at 90%. This one's at 100, so just bear that in mind. Or I might even deplete this down to 90 and then do the same, if that makes sense. I'll do exactly the same fill rate as well. I don't know if you can see, I've filled it up to 6 cups. Right to the top, cold water. Just saying, just under 2400 watts output, 40 mins runtime left. That's the level, just above 6 cups. So it is a bit over full, really, but be a good test. Safe to say that's boiling. So I've used 11%. Next, just run this down to 90% and do the same test. Right, one full kettle, just over 90% boil. Pretty similar to EcoFlow, saying it'll run for 37 minutes, 2400 watts output. Safe to say that's boiling, and yeah, again, 79%. I mean, as to be expected with two same size batteries. So next up, I just want to try and see if this will run 3000 watts continuously, and whether this will run 3100 watts continuously. We know that this puts out about 2000 watts with the Hoover. So 1500 watts for that. Another 500 watts, so that's 2000 watts total at the minute. This might be a bit much, but my chop saw, 1200 watts. Well, I couldn't seem to overload it. Seemed to handle near enough 3,000 watts continuously, so that's a pass. Next up, EcoFlow. Don't know if you've seen, but I added the MacBook charger to USB-C as well, so I'll do that on the EcoFlow. Plus vacuum, battery charger, hot air gun. Now, chop saw. So, before the chop saws coming in, we're sat at 2,300 watts. Just going to spin the screen so I can see what's happening, but it sounds like it's kind of, the voltage must be dropping off a little bit. So I can hear the vacuum change its noise. Yeah, it does peak over sort of 3,300 watts. Did hold its own there, to be fair, but like I said, you can kind of hear it starting to struggle a little bit. But again, it's only rated to 2,400 watts. I don't think you'd want to be doing that continuously, whereas the DJI is rated to 3,000 watt continuous. This is where I realise how much of a mess I've made. I'm just going to clear this off. Sorry, I just got a bit carried away chopping up some kindling for Dad. But back to the power stations. In terms of ports, as we've seen, they both got 4 AC outputs. In terms of DC though, the EcoFlow's actually got a cigarette socket output, which I've found quite handy in the past. But you can buy adapters that come from this into those if you need a cigarette socket. USBs though, DJI definitely takes the lead. USB-A's are probably the most important in this day and age. It's got 2 140 watt USB-Cs and 2 65 watt USB-Cs. The 140 watt is actually huge. You could power a MacBook Pro directly from the USB from these. EcoFlow's only got 2 to start with, and they're both 100 watts. So they are quite high output, but there is only 2. You've got 4 on the DJI. And USB-A is the older style. EcoFlow's got 2 standard ones and 2 fast charge. Now the fast charge put out 18 watts, but all 4 of the DJIs put out 24 watts. So if you're powering lots of little gadgets and stuff, obviously DJI being a drone manufacturer, they have thought of charging drones and camera equipment and stuff like that. Now these SDC ports, I've not really seen before. They're like a huge XT60, it's like a huge solar connection like the EcoFlow uses. But you can actually plug these directly into certain DJI drones and get a specific cable. You can actually daisy chain 10 of these together with these ports. Whereas EcoFlow is expandable with an extra 2 additional batteries. You can actually fit 10 into this. So a total of about 24,000 watt hours. Whereas the EcoFlow, I think, is around 6,000 watt hours. So if you're on a huge system, DJI's obviously got the advantage there. Sorry, it's getting a bit dark. It's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but the clocks have recently gone back and it's not the best of days. But in terms of charging, AC first, the DJI will charge from 0 to 80% in 45 minutes. And same percentage for the EcoFlows can take about 51, 52 minutes. Fully charged on the DJI is going to be, I think I read 75 minutes. And I'll just put whatever on the screen for the Delta 2 Max. But I think they're fairly similar. Solar input though, bit of a different story. The EcoFlow, you can plug 1,000 watts of solar into that. So that's already huge, that's 2 500 watt panels. The DJI will actually take 1,800 watts. I'll pop on the screen what sort of charging times you can expect via solar. And the other option, which I've recently been using to charge the EcoFlow in my van, are alternator chargers. EcoFlow's the one that I've got. They sell a 500 watt, but I've got an 800 watt. And the DJI, they actually sell a 1,000 watt unit, which you can buy separately. Now, in terms of warranty and lifespan, obviously both being Life PO4 batteries, you can expect these to last for absolutely years. The EcoFlow is recommended for 3,000 life cycles until you get down to an 80% capacity. Now, DJI is coming in at 4,000, both with a 5-year warranty, so you've got nothing to worry about. Now, part of the reason for DJI sending me this at the minute, obviously it's Black Friday, and they're running over 40% off on certain lines for Black Friday through December, I believe. I'll put the dates up here and anything. But this actually for Black Friday is going to be down to 799 quid, which is an absolute steal. I'm going to have another clear up because I've been chopping more firewood. Thank you so much for watching. Any questions, pop me a message. Thank you to DJI. Absolutely beautiful power station. Hope you enjoyed the video.